Right, well, good morning. I'll just tell you a little bit about me before we start. I've been working with Lisa, I suppose, on these research projects into how small companies actually use the internet to promote themselves. Well, we've been at it for about 5 years now. And we effectively developed a sort of methodology called punch above your weight for actually how you go about systematically building a presence. As well as doing that kind of work, I also have a horticultural business which I run with my wife. We have sort of 2 acres of glass which we're kind of growing organic vegetables in, and we sell plants on the internet as plants for presents. So in the summer I thought it would be a good idea to basically do a case study following the principles that we've always talked about in punch above your weight. So I chose the intelligent garden because we're already selling biological controls online, we're already selling plants online. We have quite a good rep in Amazon, so I thought I'll sell some gardening things to help people who want to actually a serious garden. So I'm selling things like pH kits, pH meters, soil testing equipment, self-watering patio planters and stuff like that. Amazon, it turns out, was quite a good place to have the shop because it's quite gadget. The people who are on Amazon are quite gadget orientated, and they buy all kinds of things which are suitable for people who want to take a more scientific approach to gardening. So this is the site. It's built in WordPress, which is a blog site. Now that makes it very easy to write stuff. It makes it very easy to publish, and it makes it very easy to get sort of new content, which is what all the search engines like. I've managed to sort of, the site's been live for about a couple of months now, and I have actually managed to get sort of 3 posts up a week, which is, they're quite short, probably 2 or 3 paragraphs, 500 words tops, and sometimes you sort of just go out and take a few sort of photos of we're at Wakehurst Place on Sunday, so I put up a few photographs of that because it's less boring than reading all the science all the time. So fundamentally, the methodology that we came out with in Punch Above Your Weight is that if you actually want to be successful online, you have to understand how people find sites, and that's all down to keywords, because the web is a very verbal medium. It's true that people sort of look for pictures, and using YouTube videos and albums is a very powerful way of promoting yourself, but actually the searching works verbally. And we worked out a methodology that you have to basically construct a story, take it down into keywords, test the words that actually work using Google AdWords, and then so that you actually know what you should be using as headlines. So in order to run a Google AdWords campaign, you have to have somewhere to drive the traffic to. And before I built the site, I used this tool here, which is Squidoo, which is fundamentally a construction of Seth Godin's, which enables you to build effectively a one-page site very quickly by just sort of writing little buckets. You can have text, you can have YouTube videos, you can have outputs from blogs, and it means that you can build a web presence very quickly. You can knock something up in a couple of hours. Then you've got something to sort of run the traffic to, so you can test the keywords using Google AdWords, which is effectively what we did. And we found that people like sort of things like gardening advice and how to grow cannabis plants and growing vegetables, and these are all the kind of things that the words that we found that were useful. And when we did some detailed research into this, growing vegetables comes up, garden greenhouse, how plants grow, vegetable gardening, how to compost, how to grow tomatoes, pH meters, wormeries, spider mite and caterpillars, because we ran this test during August where everybody's suffering from pests, so that's what they want to know about at that time. It's very sort of seasonal. You have to kind of orchestrate the blogs throughout the year so that you sort of stay interested with what people are talking about. So this is a page about growing vegetables. You can see that you just write the thing in this way. And what you can do is it gives you a permalink. Now, at that stage when I did this, it was just giving sort of ID numbers, but you can set it so that it defaults to, it actually takes the title. So if you're optimizing the title of the post for keywords, or if you're writing about a particular product that you want to sell, it's a good way of getting a leg up. When we were talking Punch Above Your Weight, we used to tell people that they have to get the H1 tags, the H2 tags, the page description and the page title all down so that they were in optimized words that people might search for. Here in the blog it does it for you. This is the page title, Growing Better Vegetables. These are the keywords: growing vegetables, plant nutrients, growing tomatoes. And you've got the description tag, which is a quick overview of how to grow better vegetables, cover spacing, water, nutrients, light, and common pest diseases. But the great thing about WordPress is, as well as having the main page as a blog, it enables you to build a site by having ordinary individual pages. So you can build a complete site quite quickly without having to battle with using things like Dreamweaver. In fact, the reason I decided to switch to WordPress as a tool is because once you've got more than half a dozen sites, keeping the page structure correct in a site easily becomes a real pain in the neck. Whereas if you actually use the blog to do it, it sorts it all out for you. To the extent that I'm actually doing a plant science course at the moment on the site, which is in little, gobbets of 3 or 4 paragraphs, and it becomes self-organising. So you just basically tag it and say this is part of the plant science course. It's about nutrients, and it's just there on the page to be found. Doing that in Dreamweaver would just do your head in, believe me. So that's kind of just covers things about how WordPress works, how the variables operate, and how you can create a good-looking site easily. We decided that we'd use Amazon as the back end. When we get up to about £3,000 sales a month, then we'll basically put our own back end into the WordPress site. But at the moment, while we're proving it, we already have quite a good track record on Amazon, and that gives you a lot of benefits. So I'll explain how that works in a moment. Fundamentally, in WordPress, you've got all of these kind of configuration things, which just basically say how many columns do you want, how many photographs do you want, where do you want them to go, and it just does all of that housekeeping for the layout of the site very easily for you. And it's free, basically. You just have to, and you can actually you can buy your hosting, with some suppliers, which has already got it enabled. So you can just say, I want to load WordPress into that site, and it just creates all the stuff for you. And that's very, very powerful. I've used it on a couple of projects since this one. So fundamentally, as I say, this just is another example of checking out the soil with the sort of keywords and page titles already in there.